Before jumping into the review, I would like to thank EPZ and Liu Take for sending the unit in for review. However, neither of them have any say on this review, as this review is 100% my own thoughts and opinion on the EPZ Q5 Pro. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The Q5 Pro is perhaps their latest update on their previous model, the Q5. Since I do not have a unit, I don't think I will be talking much about that in this video. The Q5 Pro is a single dynamic driver IEM that costs around $50 to $55 at the time of writing. You could also see them on sales for less. The Q5 Pro came with a rather unique sleeving, as the cutout isn't really square like most sleeving. Although, I think it might not work as well, as the unique cutout might get bent or damaged during shipping. But I digress. On the side, you can find the frequency response graph of the Q5 Pro. Inside, you will find that the Q5 Pro is separated into two partitions. On the left, you will find the Q5 Pro already attached to their cable. And on the other side, there is a separate accessories box, which houses the included carrying case, a small microfiber cloth, and your paperwork. Opening up the Q5 Pro feels like opening up a nesting doll, as the included ear tips are inside the carrying case, which was inside the accessories box. The design of the Q5 Pro is slightly better than the Q5, as I think the Q5 Pro has more of that authenticity and identity. The Q5 Pro also comes in a nice white color with rose gold-ish accents color. Personally, in terms of design, I think the secondary color are a bit too much for such a small IEM. I would like to see less of the secondary color, as I think it will definitely give the Q5 Pro a more sophisticated look. As for the design that correlates with the fitment of the Q5 Pro, I personally find the Q5 Pro is slightly too small for my ears. For this one, I went with the large included ear tips. Although I think it is still not enough, as I can still insert them too deep sometimes. However, in terms of comfort, I find the Q5 Pro rather comfortable to wear for a prolonged period of time. Which brings us to perhaps the most important part of any IEM or sound-related review. The Q5 Pro is overall bright leaning, which means it is leaning towards a more technical, clean, clear sound experience. Let's talk about it. The bass seems to be emphasized on the sub-bass instead of the mid-bass, making the Q5 Pro sounds rumbly in theory. However, in reality, the Q5 Pro is overall quite lean in the bass department, so perhaps they aren't as rumbly as the other IEM I am reviewing in tandem with the Q5 Pro. The Q5 Pro presentation of bass is overall quite nice, with naturalistic, realistic sound to them, enough rumble, punch, and texture. The Q5 Pro seems to be a lot lighter in tonal weight compared to the other IEMs, like the Tarjim Bunny and the E01 from Soratune. Perhaps for deeper, mid-tier vocals, the Q5 Pro works really well to compensate for that lack of tonal weight. However, for leaner, higher-pitched vocals, the vocal presentation might be a little too thin and lacking in emotions or weight. The same could also be said for the instruments' presentations. Perhaps if you are more into a lighter weighted, bright vocals, or just looking for a more technical experience, the Q5 Pro might be for you. The treble performance of the Q5 Pro seems to continue the trajectory of the mid-range presentation. The Q5 Pro overall has a brighter treble presentation, bringing up the technical aspect in the overall sound experience. The overall clarity is really good. The micro details does came through. Perhaps circling back to the mid-range performance, with the combination of the bright treble, the experience might be a little fatiguing for some, including me. Due to the breadth and forward mids of the Q5 Pro, it seems like listening to them in the usual volume settings might be a little unfair. However, Lowering the listening volume might also be unfair for the other IMs I have tested. On the normal listening volume, the Q5 Pro shows a more intimate sound staging and more of that hidden sibilance when listening on lower volume. However, the Q5 Pro does show a little more detail and the experience is overall okay if you are not too sensitive to bright sounds. I think listening with this volume is not recommended as the sound is rather unpleasant and might be damaging to your ears. On the lowered listening volume, around 10 levels down, the soundstage becomes slightly deeper. The vocals and the upper mids also gain some warmth and body. Going with this route also makes you lose on some of that detail. Perhaps I will continue listening to Kingslayer in the lower volume, as I think the higher listening volume is not really good for your ears. The soundstage is still as wide and as deep as on Megitsune. With the addition of verticality, the Q5 Pro seems to be really good in the technical department. However, the Q5 Pro still has that similar note of lacking in tonal weight and might be fatiguing. The Q5 Pro also proves my theory earlier about the bass, as the Q5 Pro shows a little bit of that rumble in this recording. While the E01 is currently on tour, I did take some notes when I first compared the two. It is also worth noting that the E01 and the Q5 Pro might exist in a different price bracket. The Q5 Pro seems to be slightly leaner and a little bit less natural sounding. It is also a lot brighter compared to the E01. While the Q5 Pro excels a little bit in the imaging and detail department, the E01 excels slightly in the sound staging department. Overall, I prefer the E01 better than the Q5 Pro, but I think if you are a treble head, you would probably appreciate the Q5 Pro a lot more than the E01. The EPZ Q5 Pro is the updated version of the Q5, still having the same configuration of a single dynamic driver on each side. The Q5 Pro costs around $50. I personally think that the Q5 Pro might be a little too small for my ears, and fitting them requires larger ear tips. The color combination might not be for everyone, and the included cable is very lacking. The Q5 Pro sound signature is bright and technical, with a little emphasis on the sub-bass department. For me, I find the Q5 Pro too lean and too thin most of the time. However, I am quite pleased with the technicalities of the Q5 Pro. The Q5 Pro is perhaps more suitable with warmer sounding sources, and those who are treble heads, or someone who enjoys technicalities better than tonalities. As for genres, I think lower pitch vocals like low-fizz could be great to offset the brightness of the Q5 Pro, while delivering good details, imaging, and decent staging. As for the ratings, the Q5 Pro gets a B for tonality and a B+ for technicalities. That is it. That is my review of the Q5 Pro. Thank you so much EPZ and Liu Take for sending a unit for review. What do you think of this review? Are you a treble head? Are you interested in trying the Q5 Pro? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.